in 2017, we had come off a run of shows. It was me and Evan, Vince Fabra, and my wife, Hannah. And we'd done a run of shows all around the Southeast, and we were coming back. And on that trip, I'd begun to wear the hat. I never wore the hat on stage before. Now, I'd always been a hat guy to some degree, but when I found the high-top trucker hat, it was all a joke for me. I thought, this hat is hilarious. Now, I did think I looked better in a high-top hat like this than a regular ball cap. When I had short hair, I looked pretty good in a ball cap, but with long hair, I don't look good. I look like Gallagher almost, with my hair popping out to the side. But I find that a nice high-riding trucker hat that is barely on the top of your head is the way to go for long hair. And I like that look, but it also seemed like a joke to me. So I'd be riding around with my buddies, going from show to show, wearing the hat. But when it was showtime, I was like, all right, let's get professional. Let's get with it. I would take the hat off. I would get into gear. But on this trip, I progressively started to wear the hat more and more. And then one day we went on a news station in Montgomery, Alabama, and I was like, it'd be fun if I wore this hat. I had a West Point Pepperell hat. My uncle used to work there. I'm pretty sure both of my grandfathers worked at a plant that either was a West Point Pepperell plant or sold to West Point Pepperell. And my dad had the hat in his, hat room for a long time. And I got the hat, started wearing it, and I said, it'd be fun to wear this hat on the news. I bet a lot of people watching know what West Point Pepperell is. So, in fact, a lot of my friends in high school lived in the Pepperell Mill Village, where, the mill was at, and then they had the houses built around the mill where people that used to work at the mill lived in the houses right around there. So, Pepperell was a real part of my life, so I thought this is really fun. So I wore it on there, and then after wearing it, I thought, that was so fun. I felt so silly. And then another guy named Josh Motes wanted to take some pictures of us. So he did a black and white photo of me, Hannah, and Evan. Vince had to go off and do a work thing on that day, so he missed the photo. And took a photo of me by myself wearing the hat. So that weekend, I was going to Indianapolis off of my own to do comedy at Crackers. And I had still not yet worn the hat on stage. So as I got up there to Indianapolis, I thought, what? This weekend, I'm going to wear the hat on stage. I think that'd be really fun. I'm going to do it. So one night, I wore the hat on stage, and I instantly had a couple of hat jokes about how I look different wearing the hat versus not wearing the hat. This hat changes me. A lot of people don't know that it changes me because you haven't seen me without it on, right? But if I take this hat off, you're like, oh, man, I bet that guy likes rock music right there. If I put this hat on, you're like, nah, he's got a rock collection. You know what I mean? Okay, all right. We're having a good time. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If I take this hat off, you're like, man, that guy looks like the lead singer from the rock band Korn. If I put this hat on, you're like, nah, he grows corn. You know what I mean? Okay. All right. If I take this hat off, you're like, man, I bet that guy smokes weed right there. Mm-hmm. If I put this hat on, you're like, nah, that guy definitely smokes weed. You know what I mean? And they were a real hit. And I was like, oh, man, I love wearing this hat. So I was selling CDs at the time, and I had gotten a couple of those pictures printed off that Josh Motes took, and I was passing them out to people after the show. I put a little of my information on it. I made it look like an old Polaroid, and I put some of my social media information on the back, and I was handing it out to people along with my CD. So then after I left Indianapolis, I went out to Springfield, Missouri, where I did this new club called the Blue Room Comedy Club. And I was wearing the hat on stage for 4 people and a homeless guy. And it just felt right. All right, how's it going? Good, we're having a good time. And then I went on out and I did Blue Room in its early days in billiards before Christopher Michael Ray spent the money and the time to fix it up and make it look as cool as it became in the end. This was in the early days, and it was a lot of fun. After that, I went out to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I did a show at the Sound Pony, which I had done one show previously there, and I really liked that place. Just a tiny little independent kind of rock venue, and I really had a lot of fun doing comedy there. And then I went to New Mexico and worked with the Broken Lizards guys, and I set up at their merch table with my CD, and I made friends with the girl that was selling their merch. She worked for the casino, but she was selling their merch. And people would come up and they would go, "How much for a shirt?" And she would go, "Shirts 20, CDs 10. And that's a great deal. But they didn't have a CD. The CDs were mine. But, you know, we didn't say they were theirs, but she said, "Shirts 20, CDs 10. So I just sold out of CDs. It was amazing. And then I went on out to the club Stand Up Live in Phoenix, where I opened for the band, the Dan Band. And they were the band that was in the movie Old School and also in Starsky and Hutch. The song that "I need you more than ever," but he added the F word in there. Very funny. They were a very nice group, the Dan Band. Even tipped me out at the end of the week, which had not happened prior to that. And they were great. I had a lot of fun. And I wore the hat on stage in Phoenix, and I ran out of CDs. So what I did was I took my laptop and I was burning CDs in my hotel room, and I was putting them in a little white sleeve with a clear front, and then I was slipping one of those Polaroids in the front. So it was a picture of myself, and I was crushing the sales on the homemade CDs. And it was really great. And then I made my way on back to Nashville after that. Took me 2 full days of driving to get home, maybe 2.5. And it was really a lot of fun. All right, how's it going? Good, we're having a good time. So that's my whole journey of how I started wearing the hat. And after that, I've worn the hat every gig since then. I love it. The hat has become a real part of my life. It is almost attached to me, and I rarely take it off. I have many hats. People give me a lot of hats, and I appreciate when they give me hats, but there is really only one specific type of hat that I wear, and it's a high-riding trucker hat. I don't do a lot of them with the foam in the front. I have a Kmart hat and a Panama hat that I like, and I will wear those, but I don't really like the foam in the front. I like a straight-up canvas. And, I always appreciate when people give me hats, but they often give me very cool looking hats. And I'm like, that's not really what I go for.